How we doing, everyone? Welcome back. Yeah, it's been a while since I've put anything out. We had Fish Fate, our event, to sort out. The website's been a bit crazy. And then outside of all of that, life's just been a little bit manic. So one of the fish things that I was sort of dealing with was raising 100 plus Bosemani rainbow fish in a 160 litre tank. Now, the filtration on that tank is a great filter, one of my personal favorites. It's an Oase EcoFlow 200. Does a great job with the CW111 Vulcan cories and the C3 cories that are in there, and even the Staurosomas. But 100 rainbows, well, they create quite a lot of waste. So although the water quality was good, it was a bit cloudy. Now, the idea was that I was going to find an internal canister that would help aid the Eheim in just keeping it clear. I didn't want anything too big because, well, it's only a 160 litre tank. Plus, we've got a lot of smaller tanks that maybe I would want to hop this around tank to tank in the future. So we have selected the Oase EcoFlow 200. This is available only at Maidenhead Aquatics. It is the largest one of the EcoFlow range, and it is also the most expensive filter that we're going to look at today. The next one is the Sicce Shark Pro 700. It is around £55. It's the middle of the range. The 900 is the big one. The 500 is the slightly smaller one. But this one is one the Americans have really just sort of fallen in love with. But I don't know if that means it's any good over here. Now, on the other side of that, we decided to go for a budget option because maybe you don't have 55, 60 pounds to spend on essentially a power head with some sponge underneath it, when you could get something like this. Now, this is only £17, and this is the All Pond Solutions Aquarium Internal Filter 800 LF. And I'm pretty sure it's an LF, not an IF, but maybe it is IF, internal filter. Jesus. Anyway, I thought we'd just start with some initial impressions, and then we'll get cracking on with the actual testing. So, start with the Oase, most expensive one in the range. Seems to have a pretty good cable length. I don't know exactly what that is yet, but this is how it comes out of the box. Unfortunately, it doesn't look as good in person as it does in the pictures online because it's gray and not black. It comes with a Venturi system. It comes with spray bar option and directional flow if you want it coming out of here. This is suction mounted to the glass. Not so keen on that, but when it comes to maintenance, simply removing this is easy because it's held on with 4 magnets. Now, these are not polarized, so you can, in fact, mount it the opposite way. Why would you want to do that? It looks uglier. Yeah, it does look uglier because you've got these intakes on the front. Now, these intakes, they're not as big as they look. So only the top, maybe 35% is actually open. The rest of it is closed. And that is because Oase seem to focus very heavily, to the detriment of the biotherm or whatever that awful thing that goes in the corner is, on when you pull this out of the tank, they don't want all of the muck to come back out. Granted, that's cool. I would just rather it was good at filtering, better at filtering. I'll deal with the slough off if there is any. No worries. Now, the reason I like the fact that you can rotate that and with no consequence, that's important to remember. Because when you mount this with this little suction bracket to the glass, there is a very small gap for all of your water to come around and then enter the filter. Now, that is not great for flow. So it would be interesting to see, and I expect we'll get around to it, if there is any at all flow difference between having anything mounted on the front or on the back. So, the Shark. This one is kind of ugly, but as guys, we kind of like things that are ugly. If they look serious, like piece of the kit, like this is a real, I need this ugly ass piece of kit, we're all about it. So, what do you get? You get a decent cable length. You know, I think this is slightly longer than your Oase, but we'll check. This one is magnetically mounted to the glass, but it's okay. It's not like you're going to have your hand behind the tank every time you pull it off, otherwise the magnet's going to fall off like wave makers. it's magnetically mounted to the power unit, but then also the mount to the glass is magnetic as well. So this will stay behind where you left it, hopefully, because whilst right now this seems infinitely stronger than that connection, how strong will it be with glass between it? We'll find out. This one is also magnetically mounted. Now this can be rotated any which way you like. But I do believe there is a consequence to that, because whereas the Oase filters directly up and ends up under the impeller, that's not the case because of this piece, this sort of collar. If you look inside the top, the water only flows out up to the power head from one side. It also only flows in here to be under the impeller, okay? Now, if I was to put that so that this section is up here, I genuinely believe, and I will try and test it as best I can with aquarium science testing, that there is going to be a difference in flow. I'm not a fluid dynamic engineer. I think that's poor. Because if that really does affect the performance, and that's a big if, then that should only be able to go on one way. Also, another issue I have with this is the fact that water enters on this side and that side. Yeah, we can change that. But now it's front and back. Why is it not on these two corners? Leave the other two blank. And my reason for that is this is such a chunky unit. It is twice the width. Oh, if I can actually get this up, twice the width of the Oase. Now, we don't usually put these in the middle of the pane of glass, do we? No, we put them in the corner, which is okay. You definitely want this in the corner because look how much line of sight blocking that is. If you've got a really nice placo, you know exactly where that placo is going to spend 99% of its time. There, where you can't see it. So you want to put it in the corner. Now you go and do that when it's this way around. This is almost up against the glass. So this side, it might only be a 15% swing, is going to be a lot less efficient than this side. Whereas if you had the intake here and here, you could rotate it and change it so that when you put this in a corner, the two blank panels like this are up against the glass and the two open receiving panels are open to the water. I just think that is a design oversight, personally. Like, I don't understand the logic behind that, but that's just me. I'm not an engineer. This one also has a spray bar option. You simply slide the top up and it will stay. It just wants to sink back down because of the weight of the cable. Now, unfortunately, you really are restricted. If you put this in a corner, there is no directional flow other than this little duckbill thing, which at best is going to put out maybe 30-degree angle, maybe. So putting it in a corner, it's not really viable. I'm genuinely disappointed in the design of that. At the moment, it may perform so well that I don't care. We can only try and find out. But yeah, so far, I don't get it. I don't. Now, I'm not a fan of these guys, but so far, I think that is better looking. I think it has more versatile function. Now, both of these are modular. Why is that important? Well, if you had the longer ones, the big version of this, which would have another cartridge on the bottom, you want to hop it into a shallower tank, you can remove that, no problem. You still use the blanking plate on the bottom. Again, with the Oase, you can do the same thing. Now, these come apart pretty easily, and in a smaller tank, that's all you need. You can also turn the flow down a little bit with this, although this is meant to turn on whether you want it coming out of the spray bar or at the top. Now, obviously, they both have these really, really ugly snorkels, which are called Venturis. And the idea behind those is that they draw in oxygen and, well, atmospheric air, it's not oxygen. They draw in air and force thousands of bubbles into your tank. Okay, if you breed in Cynodontis, maybe, but for everybody else, it's butt ugly. Anyway, that's the two big boys out of the way. £55, £60. Now, if you don't want to spend that much money on just an internal filter, we've got this. This is the All Pond Solutions Aquarium Internal Filter 800 litre filter. Okay, now this one actually only states that it's good for up to 150 litres, which would still be fine. The reason we went for this one is the next one up, I think, is good for 250. And I thought, you know what? Let's go for the smaller one and see how well a smaller one does against the two big guys. Now, what do we get in here? A lot more than you do with those. So we've got piping and suction cups. This is a suction cup. There's no fancy magnetic mounts. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. More suction cups. We get a full, again, spray bar, which you can have either as 6 inches or 12 inches, which is fantastic. And if you are using that setup, there is no restriction on where that flow goes. None whatsoever. Brilliant. Now all this is, it has a Venturi attachment as well, but also comes with this very long piece of hose. No need for it to be that long, but it's, again, more versatile, giving you more options. The cable, maybe it's as long as the others. I don't know. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit chunkier. It's not going to do so well going around tight corners, but this is essentially just a power head on top of sponge, which when you really boil it down, that's all the other two are. Now these are just clipped together, no fancy magnets at all. Oh, whilst we've, no, anyway, no, we'll do that in a minute. And the bottom is also clipped together. Now I'm sure that over time, these clips will be a bit easier, or, well, this is the first time I've had it out of the box. So yeah, maybe I'm just doing it a little bit awkward. But again, it's modular. So if you want to put this in a very shallow tank, or you just want to throw some filter wool in to clear up some cloudy water, you could do that. You could just fill this, bang it on there, and it'd be done in an hour. No stress. Directional flow. This doesn't seem to have any from the nozzle. However, that is only because of, I think, a design flaw. If you were to modify, and you'd be fine modifying this, when you know how much this costs, you wouldn't care about chopping it up. If you just took off this corner and opened it up just a little bit, because of the basic way that this is designed, this rotates. It rotates to come off, but if you could rotate that, and then you would have some directional flow. But with the piping that's supplied, you've got more directional flow than any of these. However, you do have to take into account that there is a serious decrease in flow every time you introduce a 90-degree elbow. So that would be, the modification would be the best way to go about it and maintain the same output, if you catch my drift. So maybe that is a case to modify. But one thing I'm not overly happy with, and it may be necessary, maybe they're not necessary, maybe we can do without them, is that the suction cups on here, that's going to be a pain. So if it's stable enough, just with the suction cups that mount to the back, bin those off and it will make maintenance much easier for you. What I really love though is the intake is 360. I love that. I absolutely love that. Now this cost £17. 17. You can buy 3 of these and still have several pounds left over instead of buying this. So we'll get onto cost and running cost and that sort of stuff later, because this is less power efficient, but that may not be as bad as you think. Anyway, that's first impressions. Let's get on to some numbers. Now, flow rate is one of those things that we've all learned that we can't trust with external canister filters, but when it comes to internals, who knows? So what we've done is we've lined them all up in a bucket. We've attached the same hose to the outlets, and we're going to just see how long they take to fill 1 litre. No, I don't have a flow meter, and no, this channel isn't successful enough for me to go and buy one. So that's what I've got. So here are the figures that these manufacturers have claimed. 800 liters from APS, even though it's only rated for a 150 liter aquarium, and the other two rating these for up to 200. We got the numbers there in US and UK gallons per hour, just to make it a little easier. You can see APS is storming ahead. 1 liter filled in only 4.5 seconds. The other two trailing way behind. But worse than that, look at the numbers. APS came in exactly right, 211 US gallons per hour. Sicce claimed 185 and only delivered 119. Oase, 172 claimed and only delivered 140. But Oase's figure is only 32 less than claimed, whereas Sicce's is 67. So why is that? Well, let's have a look at the very simple way that this one is designed. What we've got is all-round 360 filtration, and then it runs through a core directly to the inlet. There is minimal messing around. I have already broken one of these clips, so that's not great. They need work on that. This thing though, now we access the clips by sliding one way or another. There we go. So not only does the water have to come through this, which is, I think, not great because only the top is drawing water in. There's nothing to funnel it downwards, but all it's got to do is come into here and then through here. So it'd be interesting to see just how dirty 50% of this sponge even gets. Like, is it even really filtering? We'll see. I know as this bit clogs up, it's more likely to go this way. I just don't think this is the best design at all. And then it's got to come out of that box up into this one. Now, if we have that off, this, you don't need this. This is a waste of money because I saved money on not putting this in. That's not their fault though, guys. This is because you have been told so often that you need to have biomedia that now you demand it, and if they don't put it in, you think it's rubbish, when really this is a mold and plastic and products that have cost Sicce money. You are essentially paying for, and it's doing almost nothing for you. It's single purpose. It can only do biological filtration, whereas a sponge can do biological and mechanical. It's honestly, just don't bother. So when it's come through here, it is coming up through here into there, and then it's just sort of floating around in this, because this doesn't seal, not even close. It is just sort of there. So once it comes out of your final box into this, the water just sits around before being drawn through this little hole and then finally into this side of the impeller, so it can't be drawn in everywhere, and then pushed out. I think there's just too much going on, because if that pump really can move that much water, and this design has dropped to even 50 gallons an hour, even if it's not 67, that's really not okay.
And yes, I did test the Sicce in the configuration of making sure that the holes were as aligned as possible, and it made a difference. Look at that, an extra 11 gallons an hour.
Guys, microphone might have run out of battery, but here you can see the Sicce 700 working. Maybe some of the reason it doesn't do very well is it's pumping water out where the cable goes in. It doesn't seem a very well sealed unit, and the flow, it's reaching just about the end of this 200 liter tank. So I'm sure it does an okay job at 200 liters. So now we've got the Oase going. and it's pretty similar. I'd say it seems to have less of an effect. Now that is flow turned up to the max. One thing that I have noticed is a pain with the Oase. If you want to turn the flow down, it's a two-handed job because of the where it's mounted on the directional flow. You end up just sort of changing where the flow's going. Yeah, it's annoying. And there is the All Pond Solutions. I promise you, it is the same distance under the water. We can even push it down a little further if that will make you happier. But there is no comparison. It's not even close. That thing outperforms those two, hands down. I mean, you can see the ripples, but all the way to the other end of the tank. Look at the leaves, the floating leaves. There's no competition at all. Okay, so they're all mounted in roughly the positions that you're going to need them. Although we don't want them in the middle like this. We like them in the corner like the Oase. But as we've already discussed, this isn't going to do well in a corner. You've got the suction Y bracket on the Oase, the big chunky magnet from Sicce, and we've gone for only the 4 suction cups on the APS, not the additional ones on the actual cans. Let's see how well that functions. So to try and just maintain the Oase, that's really quite simple. Just a short, sharp tug down and that comes away. Now what they've focused on, with these slots not being as big as they could be, is minimal drainage. Maybe it's just slowed it down. The thing is, with them being sort of modular, this one still drains into this one. So why do these really need to, why just full slits? Give me full slits. And to place it back on, we just sort of line it up. That went on very easily. You can't push up, otherwise you will, just like that, move it out of its Y bracket. Which, yeah, pretty good. I gotta say, pretty good. The mounting for the Sicce is, let's just say it's not good enough in any way, shape or form. All right, that's my opinion, but look at it. I've got 3 large Genestiger slate plecos. When they start scrapping, that's coming off. If you had maybe some large Geophagus, or even actually just some redhead Tapajos, they get a bit boisterous with each other. This, no, it's not good enough. It's really not. But again, same practice. Actually, no, a short, sharp tug down releases the whole thing. So we're going to lever forwards. Yes, otherwise the whole thing's coming off. So we have to lever that one forwards and drain off. Yeah, pretty good. As you can see a bit better, they've also blocked off about 30% of that to try and reduce the amount that actually sloughs back out. Now putting it back on, dead easy. Absolutely beautiful. But that, no. This one, the challenge. This might be a two-hander, you know. No? No. Okay. So obviously everything's going to run out of that. Everything. Which, yes, is going to slough some stuff off. But is that not just more incentive for you to clean it more often? Don't let it get stinking filthy. That was a lot easier than I expected it to be. Not as easy as the other two, but not worth £40 difference. Okay, but as we can see, this mounting, strong as all hell. At the moment, we know suction cups degrade. Can you buy replacement ones? Maybe, maybe not. Goes back on very, very easily too. Now, obviously, if you want to remove the head unit, that is a different box of frogs. Very, very easy with the Sicce. Very, very easy with the Oase. This though, because these suction cups are in the prime of their life, it's always the last ones. Or yeah, it's a break the suction with your fingers kind of job. And that bottom one's quite hard to get to. Come on. There we go. Okay. Well, let's find out, because what I've got here, come on. Here we go. Don't look at that. It's not for you. What I've got here is an aquarium. Well, it's a tub. Okay, now the tub's got all the usual aquarium things, you know, water and leaves floating about. Now I know what you're thinking. That isn't actually much of a challenge. Just some leaves. I mean, we could filter that ourselves with a decent net in about 5 minutes. So what I've also got is some dirt.
I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt.
Now this is pond soil. It's pretty nasty. It's got stones, it's got sticks, it's got all sorts of stuff in it. So we're going to mix that in, and then we're going to see just how much work they can do, not give them forever, but in just 30 minutes. Now, because the Oase is so long, I'm going to have to put a bit more water in there. 50 litres clearly wasn't enough. But I'm also not going to strip out a 200-litre tank to test these in their natural environment. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. Well, it's really quite simple to make this mess. We take our 55 litres of water and add the dirt. All in there, yeah. And we'll just give it a mix. Now we're going to set the timer for 30 minutes, probably gas mark 6, and we'll come back to see just how it's got on. Delicious. So 30 minutes is up. And obviously the water isn't clear. It was never going to be in just 30 minutes. But we're going to have a look. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Remember the magnets, mate. Don't do that. We're going to go and have a look and just see what this is like. Very, very little. Now, this is mostly because the particles are either too small and are not ever going to get trapped by this, or because it's clogging up these tiny, tiny little functional slots, because there really isn't much to it. Now, if you look at the inside, the good thing about this is even though it only comes in one side, they are sort of directed to flow water all the way around before being drawn up through the middle. So although I would have just preferred to have slots on the side as well, it's actually not that bad. This though, an absolute waste of time trying to stop it draining back down into the other one, because if you look, there's nothing down here to stop it draining. So for it to actually not drain into the one below it, and then below and below and below, it needs to be blocked off here too. So it's kind of, well, pointless. But anyway, some fairly chunky bits in this one, almost nothing really in that one. A fair bit caught up in there though. This one, not bad. Yeah, okay. So it's not doing much at catching the fine particles, but then this isn't the finest of foams. You could quite easily pop in some white filter floss and go again. But we're not going to do that, because it is actually the turn of, let's do Sicce. Well, the Sicce Shark Pro, the mini monster as it is apparently, is in. We've taken all of the gunk from the Oase, put it back in, given it a good stir up, and it's time to see what she can do. So on maximum flow, I have made sure that the path is least resistant, so the water can flow straight up out of that top box and as close to the inlet to the impeller as possible. Yeah, don't be underwhelmed by the water movement. I've positioned it in the middle. The Oase was touching the floor. You know, that it's not great flow, is it? Like, honestly, it's not. I mean, it's nothing, just nothing to write home about, that flow. But anyway, we will set the timer and see how it goes. And that is the end of 30 minutes for the Sicce. So let us, I'm trying to bring that all up as one, but I will do it properly. And just see, even just trying to take that off, the head wanted to come away with it. That magnet is not strong enough. That is now through 3 millimeters of plastic. Okay, so we have to open these. Almost nothing at all. That box is clean as a whistle. How the hell? There we go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. You would think that hadn't been running at all. I mean, it's the same dirt, the same tub. I ain't even going to be able to use this video because this is just going to look like a hate video. It's done nothing. All right. I don't understand. I don't get it. So the APS is going in. And there's no flow control on this monster, to be fair. So, yeah, whatever it is what it is. The Sicce is going to have another go. Because I've just cleaned it. I've just opened it. And there is nothing in there. Nothing at all. To the point where you would think the filter had not been switched on at all. So, I don't know. It's going to have to be run again. So I talked all the way through this and then realized I wasn't wearing the microphone. But this is the first one to have actually captured any of the leaves, any of the greenery. And I know this is starting to sound like an advert for this thing, but the evidence is there. Okay, so now that I am wearing the microphone, this seems to actually retain more water than the Oase, even though it's got no design to do that other than this. Because the Oase one is simply, it doesn't work. They've designed the slots to do the job, but they forgot to tell the guy that was designing this bit on the Oase that that's what they were going to do. It's just so crap. Oh. All right, it's quite hard to see because it's black, but look at all this. There's loads on here. Look. Loads. Absolutely tons. Wow. Just wow. I mean, stay to me. I've got to try and get this back in for the Sicce to have another go. Right, so we are just going to go and actually rinse those out in the tub. I mean, I've already lost a bunch. So I'm going to go ahead and set the Sicce up to have its second go. And I'm just going to kind of mill around because I mean, it can't be that bad. I genuinely do believe that it didn't really pick anything up because its flow was so, let's not use the word weak, so little that it just allowed the dirt to settle. I think that's the only explanation I can come up with. So we can get that plugged in and going. Right, let's rinse off these. Look at that. This did well, really well. Honestly, this is really trying to, I'm trying to stay impartial, but it's done so well. I mean, apart from the clips, of one of which I've already broken, but it doesn't matter. I'm sure you can buy an extra piece for it. Okay, at this point, this video is really starting to make me feel like I have set out to make the Sicce look bad and make some sort of weird advert for All Pond Solutions. I didn't actually include it in this take, but the first take of the intro I did set out my biases. So I'll include that now. I want to get my biases out of the way. Okay, whenever people do reviews, one of them is their favorite. Now, I'll be honest with you, straight up. The only thing I want from this is for this to actually not be terrible. What's the bio, the one that goes in the corner? Awful, awful thing. This, I just want it to live up to 50% of what the Americans seem to love about it. This is the one I got hopes for. Okay, because there's a lot of people that know what they're talking about that seem to really love this. This, all I want is for this not to be terrible. It's as simple as that. I do not have a favorite. Brand-wise, it's these guys all day long. But we'll see. Okay, time's up on the second run. And as you can see, I've been stirring and stirring and stirring. The others didn't get that, but otherwise, this did nothing. So, this is its last chance at redemption, in all honesty. Right, let's go and have a butcher's. Okay, so, I'm really hoping that this is, or has done something. Hey, look at that. There's dirt. There's dirt. Now there's even some in there. Oh, look at that. Yes, this is better. Oh, so much better. Thank God for that. Oh, finally. Look, you see how the water's staying in there? Sicce managed it because they didn't forget about, you know, having a massive hole in the bottom. So they've created a gate here. So it keeps the water in. Whereas Oase got it completely wrong again. Okay. Well, that happened. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, so looking at that, most of the draw is in the top compartment. Now the 900, I'm sure it has a different motor, but it has 3 compartments. How effective is that third compartment really going to be? Because the difference between the top compartment and the bottom compartment on just 2, yes, it does mean that when this is completely clogged, this one will start drawing more, and then when this one is completely clogged, you know, number 3 would start drawing more. So maybe you can go further between maintenance, but that's not really what you buy the bigger filter for. I'm so glad that actually picked up something. It did do something. I'm still not going to score it well because otherwise I need to do all of them again and stir them up constantly. Whereas the Oase did okay without being stirred up. So maybe you need geophagus to stir up the substrate to make sure the dirt gets to this, because the flow doesn't seem to have the power. But then with the magnet, the geos are going to knock it off. So I am glad. I am so glad it picked up something. Okay, so I think that's pretty much going to do. We will get on to summarizing. Well, it's been a pretty long day. There will be long-term reviews of each and every one of those to come, but that's going to be 6 to 9 months away. What are they actually like to live with? And yeah, you want to stick around for that? Subscribe to the channel. Could always use more subscribers. But oh, do you like the mugs? Hide my face. Hide my face. They're event only at the moment, but they will be available on wildtrip.com at some point. There's a bunch: Corys, Plecos, Killifish, CPDs. But anyway, right, so let's tally up some of these scores. So it's very, very simple. There's three products. Whichever one came top in each one of these little categories gets 3. If you came bottom, you get 1. And that's right, 2 for middle place. So performance flow, the All Pond solution absolutely nailed its claim, spot on. Even my very unscientific way of doing things. So they get 3. Oase got closest, best of the rest, so they get 2, and Sicce is on 1. Now the performance as a filter, again, APS was by far the best in that situation. So they get another 3. Sicce can have 1, even though it did do slightly better than the Oase did, which gets 2. It only did that on its second turn, and that was only because I was stood here stirring it up over and over and over. So it has to come last on that. Circulation, well, that is a definite 3 for the All Pond solution, because you saw how far it was pushing that water, and it was a real circular flow. Oase, I gave 1 for that. It seemed, even though it is apparently a little more, or is it actually less? I can't remember. I can't remember. How terrible of me. Yeah, no, it is the lowest of the lot. Yeah, and it seemed it. So Sicce get 2 there, and Oase just gets the 1. Now the cost to buy, Oase being the most expensive, only gets 1. Sicce get 2, and All Pond Solutions get 3. Now, the mountings, the livable, could you live with that? Oase get 3 there, because as much as I wasn't a fan of the whole Y bracket on suctions to start with, that is by far the best. Of all of those options, that's the best. If the APS had a way to detach from it, great. If the Sicce had a decent magnet that wasn't garbage, great. But yeah, Oase, 3 points for the mounting, 1 for Sicce, because you'd think maybe they should come second, but I know that filter is going to end up on the floor. Plecos are going to knock it off. I will knock it off every time my arm's in there, and that's just not what I want from anything. Adjustability, Oase, 3 points, because Oase's got almost everything. It's modular. It can be turned around. It's got directional flow. It's got flow control and a spray bar if you want. So 3 points straight away for Oase there. APS gets 2, because even though it doesn't have directional flow, it's easily modifiable with just a pair of pliers. You could rip that off and give yourself directional flow. But you also had the spray bar, a long adjustable spray bar, and it being modular as well. Great. The Sicce, the flow control sucks. The spray bar, it's all right, but it also has no directional control. So yeah, no, they just get the 1, I'm afraid. Now, noise and vibration, I couldn't tell any of them apart. Honestly, they were all exactly the same. So I just didn't bother scoring anything for those. Now, aesthetics, I did give the 3 to Oase, and the Sicce only got 1. Now, it's black, which is a bit better, but It's too big. I was honestly sitting there thinking, neither of them are good looking units. Neither of them are particularly horrendous. And then I just thought, well, at least the APS is slimmer. Less chance of fish hiding behind it, I guess. It's not by much, but that was literally all it came down to. That was the deciding factor. Build quality, All Pond Solutions, just one. Obviously, I broke a clip. It is the cheapest one of the lot. It's not that far behind them, though, to be honest, because really plastic is plastic. And it's not terrible. It's not horrendous. The clips, not great, but, you know. And the Oase and the Sicce, I really couldn't tell them apart. Actual build quality, the way that they fit together, the way that they feel in your hands. So they both got 2. I couldn't pick a winner on those. The impeller access. Now, I know it's only something that you're going to need to do every 5-6 months, maybe even only every year, but it's a big deal for me when you got sausage fingers. So obviously the All Pond Solutions got 3 because it was so easy. The Sicce, I can't get my fingers to it. And the Oase got 2 because it is very easy to get to. Media. Okay, so media options. Yes, the All Pond Solutions, if you wanted to run some carbon or some Purigen, or even if you just wanted, for some unknown reason, to put ceramic in there, you could. You would just need to put it in a net, in a bag, but it doesn't come with the option for that. And whilst you don't need biological ceramic media in that, maybe being able to run some carbon at the end of a medication session or something like that would be nice. So Oase actually get 3 for that. Sicce get 2. And obviously, the All Pond Solutions only gets 1. So Sicce have their own compartment for it, but it's not as big as the Oase one. And that was really the only factor. That and the fact that with the Oase one, because it has its own compartment, it's not compromising any mechanical filtration, whereas you have given up an area of sponge to have that on the Sicce. So yeah, that's why they scored that. Now, cable length, the All Pond Solutions got 2 points, the Sicce got 2 points, and the Oase only got 1, because the Sicce and the All Pond Solutions are about a 6-foot cable. The Oase, 5 foot. I'm sure it'll be fine, but it was less, so it got less. Okay, so scores look like this. When judged on that criteria by me and what I value, the APS storms it, absolutely storms it. I mean, the Oase isn't too far behind. The Sicce is lacking. In fact, I've given it 1 extra there. Oh my gosh, who can't even do a tally? There we go. That's actually what the scores should be. So it's a walkover for the All Pond Solutions. But earlier, I said that it's not as efficient to run. It actually costs twice as much to run as the Oase. Now that sounds awful, doesn't it? I know. You're thinking, oh, wow, you know, like I said, you get what you pay for. Yeah. No. So the Oase runs 8 watts. Okay. This one runs 16. We're not going to worry about the Sicce because the Sicce actually only runs 7 and it costs a little bit less. So yeah, it's cheaper than the Oase, but it's more expensive than the APS. Now, if you were going to buy just one of them and you couldn't work out, you think, okay, well, if I spend more, I'm going to save money long term. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. The All Pond Solutions costing less than a third of what the Oase costs means that at twice the wattage and at 26 pence per kilowatt, you can run that filter for 14 months, including buying it, before it costs you the same as it would cost you to buy the Oase. So before the APS costs you 60 quid, you get to buy it and run it for 14 months. I mean, so warranty. There's a 5-year guarantee with the Sicce. Now, I don't know what that looks like. I've never had to deal with them. It's not going to be a fast turnaround. If that breaks, it's going to take days. You got to get in touch with whatever company you bought it from, I expect. You have to wait for them to dispatch one. What if they don't have one in stock? Fish are dying. It's not good enough. That thing, Mr. Amazon will have another one to you tomorrow. No, I don't think there is a guarantee. I don't even think there's a warranty. But at 17 quid, if it goes wrong, tomorrow you have a new one. You might even have to pay £2 more and get the next size up. Hey, who cares? I've got an APS filter. It's the HOB 500. There's videos on here about buying it, modifying it, and long-term review. It's been running, I think, 18 months. It's never missed a beat. Impeller pumps, magnet run impeller pumps, they are pretty reliable piece of kit. I don't see that failing anytime soon. Now, if you were thinking, okay, well, if I buy the Oase and run it for a long time, it'll work out cheaper overall than if I buy the, do you know what point that is? Have a look at this graph. 2.3 years is when they end up costing the same. To purchase both and run both, only after 2.3 years does the Oase actually become any cheaper. So in my opinion, you saw my biases halfway through. The All Pond solution has performed exceptionally compared to what I thought it would. The Sicce has been absolutely nothing but a disappointment in every way. In every way. Build quality, flow, the mount, everything is disappointing. The Oase, do I think it's great? No. Is it worth the money? No. Would I ever buy another one? No. If somebody gave me one, would I run it? Yes. Is it better than the biotherm thing that goes in the corner? Yes. But of the three, genuinely, the All Pond solution is the one that I would buy. I honestly thought I was going to get this and I was going to love it. It was going to be everything that everybody in America seems to say it is. Turns out, I don't know, maybe it's because they seem to be like a more hang-on-back culture where that's not a thing here. These have been a thing for a long time. And this is not good. Compared to the stuff that we had 10 years ago, this isn't good. Certainly not good now. I'm genuinely gutted about that. Genuinely gutted. And it's all right, because I'm allowed to say whatever I want, because I paid for all of these. I paid for them all. So, yes, there will be long-term reviews anyway. So if you want to see how they get on over 6 to 9 months, I mean, those products aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Nobody's taking them off the shelf. You know, you got time to wait. Yeah, maybe check in with us later. Anyway, I've taken up so much of your time. I hope this has been thorough enough. If it hasn't, I don't know what you want. But I look forward to your video on it. Maybe I can learn a thing or two. So I hope everybody found a reason to smile today. And if you didn't, there's still plenty of time. You're not watching it today. What am I talking about? Try and make a stranger smile, okay?